Great. Hi. So welcome to HITLAB's 2023 Summit. Would you mind introducing yourself, your name, your title, and the organization that you're representing?
Yes, I'm Sabrina Runbeck. I'm the co-founder and CEO of PulsePoint Solutions as well as Runbeck Media Group. It's been exciting to be here, invited back to be in a space of the energy again, coming back as a panel speaker and moderator.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, welcome. We're happy to have you here. Is this your first HITLAB Summit, or have you been to them in the past?
Yeah, I was in November's event over the holidays, and we still got a really great amount of people showing up in person and online. At that time, I was also moderating a panel for how do we leverage digital technology to increase accessibility. And I also got invited as a panel judge for the accelerator group that we are evaluating at the time. So it's a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, so much fun stuff. So why don't you talk a little bit about your company that you are CEO and founder of, Point Solutions, right?
Yeah, so what we always seen with tech companies, especially in the healthcare space, they're making revenue, they're getting traction, they're funding, they're not just worried about like funding anymore, right? They're not just worried about validation anymore. They're at a place where they start hitting a ceiling.
Right.
And then they realize, oh, wow, what do I do at that point? Is that really my people? Do I need to bring on better board members? Is that my sales and process? Actually, what they're troubling is that they're in the place of, especially we say there's three personas, the innovators.
Right.
They're thought people, they're the spiritual communicator, they're the ones who really wanted to figure out things and go do it, right?
Right.
But we also know what they're lacking is a persona that is a strategist, really what we call their impact creator. So that impact creator are really good at being emotional communicators, storytellers, and then they're really good at getting the right resource together. But when they're not good is implementation.
Okay.
Now you have the third persona is the implementer. They're really good at just like doing, get things done, right? But we also know when people are too fast to act, they're missing out on how do you slow down? Do you look at the bigger picture? Do you see the holes? Or is your innovation actually where you need to go? So as a team of 12 expert board advisors, we're actually looking into what are you missing in your business structure? How can we create the right foundation and infrastructure for you now, for you to accelerate into more impact and more profitability? Because at the end of the day, if we're doing it as a hobby and just breaking even, that's not sustainable for any organization. And then you're also doing a disservice for all the amazing people on your team. Then on top of that, when people are onboarding so many of these higher level executives, then the trouble is, are we just hiring, recruiting based on your experience, the title, or are they actually able to input the right strategies and able to communicate with everybody else? So the crucial thing that we do differently from anybody else, we're not an incubator, we're not an accelerator.
Right.
We're really about business advancement. So we assess all of our advisors as well as our founders based on spiritual alignment in the sense of what's your true blueprint and purpose in life. If you don't know, if you're not playing your highest, how do you think people are going to attract to what you want to do?
Yeah.
Because we know motivation from a company standpoint, unless they're agreeing with you, it's really hard to get anybody motivated to do the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a spiritual level. Now we have to also assess the emotional level. That means there are a lot of, from astrology to psychological profiling, to predictive index, to peak performance, positive intelligence. We combine all that to say, emotion is really nurture of who we are, right? When we've grown up, how do we see the information and adapt it into the right way?
Right.
But that's also not enough, right? What we're truly missing is the physical piece. We are born with a natural talent. We're born with either being very physical sensitive, means we're touching, feeling, right? We have to see each other in the eye to connect. But some of us don't need that. They actually feel awkward to have to stare at people to actually make a conversation because they're more spiritually in tuned. So when you know the physical body, the mental psychological profile, and the spiritual alignment, then it's a whole complete package. So when we do that, we make sure everyone is synchronized and we're more defined into who we are. And that's how we create speeding up the process much faster. And of course, all those, right, cannot come together without knowing how to build those relationships.
Right.
So my journey, when I got pretty burned out working in medicine across 11 different major hospital systems throughout the country, especially in cardiothoracic surgery and operation side, is that I thought about I shouldn't just be defined as a clinician. I shouldn't be defined, my impact means just whoever come into my door.
Right.
How do we do bigger? How do we be going to that 1-2 million type of impact? It's me truly connect with the people who are the map makers in the world, help them to create more opportunity. And so I got on and started to do public speaking. And when you got on that track, people was like, where's your stage, right?
Right.
So of course I created my own.
Of course.
Of course. So started a podcast more than 3 years ago called Provider's Edge, and we feature more than 150 experts in the healthcare, from the innovators, from executives, from the entrepreneurs, or even just managerial level. And what does that mean, right? To grow, to build. To be in that peak performance level, and how do we positively changing the healthcare, truly leverage your voice. And then luckily last year we turned that into a TV show. Now we're on Apple, Roku, on Fire. So
that's incredible.
Exciting, right? And then the more conversation you have with other creators in the healthcare domain, the other TV, radio, podcaster, YouTube hosts, we actually create a whole network of us. And now we're partnering up with the largest creative community called PodFest. They actually win the world's Guinness record for largest virtual events ever. And then we're partnering with their in-person event for the 10th anniversary to put a whole healthcare summit together for the creatives.
That's wonderful. So it sounds like you do just a little bit of everything, which is so incredible. I was wondering if you could talk about, so as someone who is a healthcare professional and a public speaker and a business advisor, how do you bring all three of those things together in order to move Point Solutions forward, in addition to what you talk about in your podcast? How do you figure out, one thing to talk about in a session without getting into everything that you do?
Such a great point. So PulsePoint is really about people in a certain phase of business, right? They should be already making multi-seven figure. So they're in that early multi-seven figure and just like, how come I'm stuck? I might have an inclination on why I'm stuck, but I can't put my pinpoint to it. So then they do need the outside people to put a blinder down, because some people can be, I have the best financial CFO ever. How do you know that without a standard? So we create a standard to be able to assess and create that roadmap for people to feel good, right? Perhaps you do. And then we can say, yes, you do. You have the right business model for that. Great, keep going. But what about the other things? So when we are very multi-diverse into who we are as individuals, as leaders, then it's more important what is your true purpose and alignment of what you need to do now. And also it's about, if I'm on the show, to feature another executive or feature another founder. Now I want to know, what's the purpose of you being on my show? Is that to build B2B relationship with other potential high organizations that you can partner up with? Is that end users? You actually want to talk to patients and whatnot. So when we are very clear on the purpose, then we can shift the tailor that conversation toward that. And it's not seen as you're just selling something. So for example, recently I was talking to a client. They are having a application device where they built especially for vaccination, and they took into telemedicine, and now they're expanding all throughout the country instead of just one location. Now, our conversation is not so much about vaccines, but to say, what does that mean to leverage different resources? And sometimes travel vaccine, people have no idea of.
Right.
And how do you learn about these things and not get swayed by the social media of everything is bad,
Right.
I'm gonna die from this, right?
Sure.
So it comes from the way that you talk about things, about your product, about your company, as from the thought leadership, as an expert of who you are. And then people see you beyond just this one thing that you're trying to promote, but much bigger than this.
Right.
And same thing, another client, she has a whole platform on cleaning technology. So then we say, how does it, when people don't clean their house, it's actually an early detection for mental health, for depression and anxiety, because that's a change in your behavior. So these staff actually can help us with that whole level of where you don't think they have issue, but perhaps they had a death in the family, they had different changes in their life, that they don't have a clinical disease or diagnosable one, but it's a downfall in the slope. If we can help them in detecting, that's prevention, that's early treatment offering from different modalities. So we can really think our skill set can be transferable. And if we're very clear on the end goal of every single thing that we're doing, then we can know exactly what to do to play the 20-80 rule, right? The 20% of the time that gave you 80% of the result.
Yeah, absolutely. So one last question for you. You were chosen and trusted to be a judge for some of the innovators. What is something that you look for in their pitches and in their presentations that really shows you that's going to be a successful company or their idea is going to go far?
Right, I think there's the different levels of how innovative it really is. It's something that we haven't seen before. Now, good and bad, right? Like if it hasn't been seen before, but then the business plan they're in and building the next phase are really solid and sound, then it could be still very exciting. Now, for the people that has a really solidified infrastructure, you see their pipeline, you see their everything, but are they unique enough? Have I seen this model? It just simply duplicated. And then it's become, you're probably going to get bought out in a few years, right? I think it's about both the presenter, who they are, how excited they are about what they're bringing to the table, how knowledgeable they are about it, and also what's the true meaning behind this. Do we think it is actually impact? It's not just by throwing me all these big numbers that you can find online anywhere, but do you have the story? Do you have the really interpersonal thing that you can truly tell me? Because we all know story is relatable. So that way of presentation, we always get too rigid sometimes, right? But we have to truly bring to that human level to see the individual impact, even though I don't have a family member or friends with that disease or could be using it, but I can see how it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Sabrina, thank you so much for answering my questions and for being with me here today. I really appreciate it. Your insight is wonderful. Your story is so impressive and fascinating. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.